pimpin', baby. Big pimpin', spinning cheese. Feel me?
I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and back then, I'd say late 80s, early 90s is when I first came across hip-hop, like the early Run DMC, Beastie Boys albums, License to Ill, and Raising Hell, all that stuff, the early De La Soul. So that was when I was introduced to hip-hop, because I was still in elementary, going into junior high, and then going into high school, I was exposed to Public Enemy, NWA, so that was when it was rap music, it was hip-hop, it was really raw at that time, and at that time it was still very... it's very real. There's a lot of stuff that was being talked about. It's mostly the lyrics and very simple beats. So it means a lot to me because it really based a foundation for the music that I play today. Although music has changed so much, I think hip hop is really it's never going to be not a part of me. It's always going to be a part of me. I basically lived there all my life until 2001. I decided to move back here. That was almost 15 years ago. So I just really wanted to get in touch with my roots. I'm Indonesian. I've never spent more than a few days of my life here that I remember. So I moved back here in 2001. Spent a few years just trying to find my roots. Just kind of working office jobs. I taught English for a little while, but then you can never really stray too far from music if you love music. So I linked up with a band, Brown Sugar, back then, and through them I linked up with other people in the music industry at the time, and then I went into the club industry. I emceed a couple parties for people, Embassy Club back then, Mana House back then. I think it was Mana Lounge or Mana House at the time, and I emceed for a party through some friends. Who was like, hey, it's my friend's birthday. Why don't you get on the mic and give him a shout out? And I shouted out the DJ a few times. I ended up on the mic for a little while. At that time, the DJ on the decks was DJ Cream. I didn't know who he was at the time, and he didn't know who I was at the time. Anyway, next thing I knew, next night I was at Embassy, on the mic again, and this guy approached me, and it was the guy from last night. It was on the decks. DJ Cream approached me and said, hey, I like what you were doing last night. Maybe we can hang out, talk about it, and see what we can do together. So that was the first time I linked up with Cream and Soul Menace, and the rest is history. I mean, ever since then, I signed with Soul Menace, and I never looked back since. What Soul Menace represents most importantly is we're all about the music. I mean, there's a lot of trends that go through that go up throughout the time of music. Music's a lot like fashion, I find. Go through different trends, different styles, but as long as you have a good basis, which is good music, I think it's always going to be. I think it's always you're always going to have good quality, and I think what Soul Menace represents is music first. We can do a party, we can have gimmicks, we can have a theme, but just like the party that we're talking about here, the Joint. I mean, what do we base it on? We base it on good DJs who play good music, and that's what's most important. Yeah, we have gimmicks and we have promotions, the way to attract the crowd, but what do they eventually get when they come to our party is good music, and that's what people bring home. That's what they remember when they come home from our parties. So hard. It's been almost 20 years. I would say one of the most memorable was opening. I was with DJ Cream. We have a back-to-back dual set where we both DJ across 4 decks, and I'm on the mic as well. Called the Soul Menace Sound System with me and DJ Cream. And we opened for 8-Track one time at Jakarta Warehouse Project 2 years ago. And I think that was unbelievably memorable, and is one of the best DJs out there right now. So I think I'll never forget it.
You know why.
I think it's great. I think it's refreshing. I think what's going to happen is if you put on an old school party all the time, over the years, it's always going to be the same songs. You're not going to have new old songs. It's always going to be the same songs. And what you see that in the trend for twerk and trap and all this stuff is you hear a regeneration of that old music. You hear a lot of the old samples from old hip hop songs being redone, being harder bass and being sampled here and there. And I think what that does is it brings that old music to a much younger crowd who wasn't exposed to that kind of music back then. Like, we were exposed to that because we're older, but to the kids growing up, they're not going to grow up with that music. So it's a way to teach them, hey, this is what some of the music used to sound like, and from that they can find out where this sample came from. They hear a Biggie sample in a twerk song, and they're gonna look it up. Oh, this is the original song, and they're gonna find out about that original song. And I see it happen all the time. Kids are requesting the originals from when they learned it from the twerk or the remixes or whatever. So I think it's a positive trend. Trends are always good, and trends are always going to go around in full circle. So I think we're always going to need that. It's very refreshing. I think so. I think that the Jakarta crowd, in all of Indonesia, Jakarta has the most sophisticated and smartest crowd out there. However, I think that they do need, for us as DJs, as people in the club and music industry, to kind of lead them in the right direction. Otherwise, we've seen the EDM trend come and go so fast, and I think these people need a bit of a guide, sort of a guideline of what to follow. Otherwise, they kind of get lost in the whole thing. There's so much music out there. So I think, yes, it's creeping back into the industry, but I think it's always been there. I don't think it's ever really been gone. And I think it's a good way for people to just kind of, keep themselves hearing something new, listening to new things all the time, and not always following the same trend, and eventually getting so sick of it because it's overplayed and there's just overkill basically of the same music over and over. So I think it's really nice for us to be able to loop it back to the old sound and bringing some of that old sound back. And like I said, with the new trends and the new remixes and the new genres, subgenres, I think it allows us to be more creative and allow us to be able to expand people's minds in that horizon. So I hope we have a good one this time. We've done the joint now for several years, and with Soul Menace and Trigger, I think it's the ultimate collaboration for hip hop and for music. And I think with Sindhèn now being a part of that, I think I'm really looking forward to this upcoming joint at Foundry No. 8 this Friday. Can't wait to get there.